Welcome back, everybody, to Battle Hardened Los Angeles. Here we are at the pointy end of things, heading into round number 8 here. A pivotal round for many of our players, currently looking at potential contention in that top 8. A lot of players at 6-1 here. A lot of Lexi representation throughout that. I mean, maybe no surprise given our meta breakdown since 23 Lexi decks here. But that being said, yeah, a great deal of players sort of on the line for top 8, piloting the Livewire. So keep an eye out for that one. And yeah, I've already maybe spoiled it a little bit, but we're probably going to see more Lexi action coming up. Obviously, we just saw Peter Lorup take down Fei Yukai, of course. That was a Lexi versus Kano matchup, and Kano couldn't quite get it together in time.
Yep, totally. Pretty hard as the Kano player facing against aggro decks. You feel a little out of control in those matchups.
You either find your pieces or you don't.
Or you don't,
right?
yeah. And then I took Blake down quiz show in between that round there, and he did terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that, is that to be expected?
Yeah, nobody does really good at flavor text stuff. So.
Oh, is flavor text related?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I think I read, I read some flavor text earlier today actually, from one of those ridiculous cards that Tao Tao Chu is running, like the Relentless Assault or something like that. So had to get that one out. What about Bartram? Bartram?
Oh yeah, Bartram the Brave. Yeah, yeah. It's like a paragraph. It's like the whole card. Yeah.
All right, we can now jump down to our round 8 matchup. A win and in here for Jonathan Tarris on Katsu the Wanderer. Katsu? I sound American. Katsu going up against John Abanto on Lexi. Yet another of those Lexi lists looking to make their spot in the top 8.
So really interesting matchup. I mean, both players have the ability to just absolutely blow the other person out. You know, if they
volatile. Yeah,
block wrong. You know, get caught by Rain Razors or Ancestral Empowerment or, you know, what have you.
Breaking scales, as it were.
Breaking scales, you got to play around it the whole game, which is annoying.
Yeah.
But
considering that requires you to be blocking in the first place.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see how these players wind up navigating this here matchup. So nothing surprising here from Katsu. Mask of Momentum, Snapdragons, Breaking Scales, and the Tunic. We do have Perch Grapplers from John, though, so looking to defend perhaps a little bit more against those relevant cards that Katsu has.
There may be, a couple of moments throughout this game where Lexi has a really valuable opportunity to stuff one of those breakpoints from Katsu and really limit the effectiveness of their sort of turns. But yeah, expect volatility here. Expect both players to avoid blocking where possible. And we're going to be underway in this matchup pretty darn soon. Obviously, Katsu with some great tools and outsiders. It's definitely made his way back into vogue. Not perhaps in the sort of control flick-flack way that many people predicted earlier, but he has a lot of tools to really put the pressure down. Big shout out to our Dromai players. We know we haven't been able to catch a Dromai matchup yet today. I made the joke. None of them converted out of round 1. But it was just a stroke of bad luck, but great to have you along for the ride with this anyway. Perhaps AGE Open tomorrow is where you can catch. We've got a lot of Dromai players here locally, exactly well like one of them, so keep an eye out for that.
Unfortunate Jonathan probably lost the die roll here as one of the 2 aggro decks in this matchup. You really prefer to have the first relevant damage here, but so just electing to get a Dishonor in the graveyard so you can Bonds of Ancestry it later. So not too much of a loss here.
Yeah, definitely a moment of setup here. Again, if Bonds of Ancestry does sort of pull this out of graveyard, Dishonor obviously goes to 4, and it can turn off a hero for the rest of the game. Arguably one of the most frightening on-hit effects in the game of Flesh and Blood, but can be hard to put together.
I believe in one of the AGE Opens, we saw the very first Dishonor on camera, which was incredible. So shout out to whatever player that was. I can't remember their name. But everybody knows who they are.
Except you.
Except for me. I mean,
you know who they are.
I know who they are.
Not there.
Just can't remember their name. It's the 8th round, okay?
Yep. Is that Moises Lopez, maybe? No, he was probably an Icelander at that point. He's a local Katsu player. Anyway, Premeditate coming out here for John, who has the privilege, the pleasure of playing second here. I'm going to have a Pathing Helix. This is a 7 damage attack with some mod hits.
Yep, definitely got go again here. and then Heat Seeker also. So this is a really threatening turn where Lexi can just vomit all of their cards onto the board and then end up with 2 cards in Arsenal afterwards. So we'll see how Jonathan chooses to navigate this. It looks like Surging, Mugenshi, Bonds of Ancestry, and a Whelming Gust Wave in hand. I can't remember what he arsenaled, but he kind of does have a very good combo line
The
lined
pieces
up
are there.
here. It's already kind of naturally there, and especially with the Dishonor in the graveyard. Of course, you would need a Descendant here for the Dishonor to be very, very
Turned on.
relevant. Yeah,
And hey,
but we could go fetch it with Katsu.
we are taking the deeps. So we have that 7 damage connecting. The Heat Seeker to follow it up now. 5, and of course, let's bear in mind, of course, the Ponder.
Yep, we do get the Ponder token after that Pathing Helix has hit. So here we go. I do like John's Findal Spring Tunic dice, though. That's very on theme. I like that when players' accessories are on point.
Thematic,
Yeah.
You know, I was also for a time excited by every Dromai player having all of the marvels. Now it seems almost commonplace. You know what I mean? It seems like it's a rite of passage.
Totally. Boy, seeing those in person, too, is way better than seeing them on stream. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan takes a large amount of damage from that turn. That is 12. So he basically says, hit me with your best shot. And John Abanto does not miss. 2 cards in Arsenal, a full grip. So this had better be the stuff of legends for Jonathan here.
It might be another Surging Strike in Arsenal.
Okay. Yeah, surging, we got Whelming.
Boom.
It's a Surging, red Surging as well. Can't ask for much more than that.
Totally. The exact card you want here. Now, a lot of times you kind of want to block this one so they can't go Katsu fetch with plenty of cards in hand, but looks like that's probably what's going to happen here.
It's probably not on the table. So John says, right, I'll cop it sweet. That's 5 damage. Jonathan, obviously, in order to go looking for another combo card, has to discard from his hand. Looks like was that blue Whelming, perhaps?
I think so, yeah. Probably going to go get Descendant here because that's going to come in for free, and then going to be able to just trigger the whole Dishonor line here, baby.
That's it. Descendant Gust Wave says, if Surging was your last attack of this combat chain, Descendant costs 1 less and has +2. So that will be 5 go again. And again, of course, very importantly, being able to continue this combo line, putting a lot of pressure down.
Yep. We're also going to be really threatening the mask trigger here on this combat chain too.
Yep. Yeah, no Kadachi nonsense so far. We're just throwing the attacks in.
Yep. No on hits here with Descendant Gust Wave. It is just damage and go again. But so now we've got 2 combat chains that have hit. So on the 3rd, Mask of Momentum will trigger and he will draw a card. So here comes the Bonds. It looks like it's the yellow.
Got it all, man.
Disc banishes the Dishonor to go get the Dishonor. So now you know you could be dishonored.
Yep. Again, plenty of relevance there. Lexi being able to flip a card in her arsenal is pretty important, right? Otherwise, you
absolutely.
Yep, you won't be able to add to it with Voltaire.
Yeah, no new horizons, basically.
Yep.
So pretty huge. So now you're in a really tough spot. Do you give this 2 cards because Breaking Scales is available to put it at a break point?
And it's not an on-hit, right? It's if Bonds, if Descendant was the last card, you're going to get your Dishonor back. So I guess the question is, we're blocking the Dishonor.
Right.
Yeah, Bonds is really just the bridge.
I think you should shuffle that deck again. I think he accidentally left a card behind. There you go. Yeah, no big deal. I don't think we need to call a judge, do we? Yeah.
All right, we got to shuffle.
Yeah, we don't know what it was. Just shuffle it again and cut it again. It's all good, mate. Right? That's what you say in your country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Here's your Mask of Momentum trigger.
Wonderful.
Have a card. Lexi says, I'm not blocking. I'm just not doing it.
Ooh, Lord of Wind.
Okay.
I can't tell what that other card is.
Is that another Descendant Gust Wave?
Might be. Or it's that yellow Surging that we started with. Here's Dishonor. Definitely
Oh,
got to
buddy.
two-card block this thing, too.
Yeah. 4, no go again if you control Surging Strike, Descending Gust Wave, and Bonds of Ancestry. Yeah, your opponent is losing all their abilities. So finally, Lexi might be prompted to part with some cardboard. Again, 3 of a kind exists, so Lexi doesn't feel terrible at times about giving up those cards. But how much are we shrinking our Lexi turn here if John does put 2 cards in front here? Because a Codex and Arsenal, right?
I mean, I think you got to block it, right? You just can't take 4 more damage and lose your hero ability. You know, you just, I don't think you can. Yeah.
But you also have to play around Ancestral, maybe Razor Reflex potentially.
Two cards in hand. This is a tough spot.
Yeah, the math is horrendously complex. So again, obviously, Perch Grapplers is nice to have here. This is probably a consideration John made during sideboarding, as there might be a relevant on hit that needed to be contended with. This might represent that opportunity to make use of them.
Perhaps you kind of got to block 6 though to play to all of your outs. If he doesn't have, if he has Ancestry and Breaking Scales, it goes to 6. So Perch and 1 3 block only brings you to 5. That's called math.
Bit of Big Shack here with the quick maths. Oh, wow.
Algebraic, as they say in Adventure Time. Great show. Shout out to Adventure Time. Yep, this is a tough decision. I think you got to snap block it, though.
Yeah.
You know?
I assume John is... Well, first of all, ask the question, how bad does my game get without my hero body? Pretty bad. This is a very respectful... This is a 6 block, right?
Yeah, it's a... Oh, I don't know if it was a non... Looks like it's 2 attacks there.
2 blocks, yeah.
So it's 8. So playing around the razor also. So taking no chances. Excellent. Probably thinking about Snapdragon Scalers here, just because we have an extra card.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens. Neither of those cards. I guess Lord of Wind doesn't cost anything, but that yellow Surging Strike does cost 2.
That's right, yeah.
Not a ton of value out of using snaps here.
It's also the question of, what is the best Arsenal candidate there?
Right.
Amongst those.
I think probably Surging Strike. It's a starter for your whole.
Yep.
Your whole.
If that was a Surging, sorry, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so John blocks out the Dishonor. Does not want to tangle with the ramifications of having his hero blanked, and you can hardly blame the guy. He really needs to make full use of his arsenal.
Right. Yeah, you got to put some Codex targets in the graveyard, you know.
This looks like 3 of a kind. Yep.
Eesh.
I mean, it's a dead giveaway, right? When you're opening your turn with Rain Razors, it's the only time I think you'd ever do that. So so all of a sudden, that 2 block, that blocking with 2 cards here doesn't really, it's not an issue. I mean, 3 of a kind, I think people had this idea that it allowed you to go for these massive, big combo turns, but in reality, it's a great card to refill your hand after you actually have a mid-range turn. So this is exactly why Lexi is so powerful right now, because not only does she have these high peaks, but she's incredibly resilient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, kind of only when they have 3 of a kind.
That's true. Without a card, yeah, so maybe she's quasi-resilient. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh, it's a very powerful card in all respects. Allows you to block, allows you to have a massive turn. You know, it's definitely one of the best cards here. So Searing Shot coming in for 6. Go again.
Okay, we are transitioning our game plan here as Katsu.
Yeah, it's just going to be a pretty big turn, especially with that Codex. So, and you're not going to have Kodachis because you're probably going to get a Frailty token. So might as well just stop.
See the writing on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so John has more to work with here. Obviously, you can go hunting with the Codex.
Yeah,
again, with the Rain Razor's turn, that means that we have Go Again baked into that Bolt and Shot. If you were to return that card, for example. Oh, well, hey, how about this one?
Speaking of,
there we go. Bolt and Shot, still 5. Will not be threatening a reload.
Yeah. We probably don't care about this card here. We're probably, knowing we have Codex, might as well just take this 5 damage, even though you're not going to have a turn.
This is about as good as it gets for Lexi, especially after blocking this Rain Razor's 3 of a kind turn. All of a sudden, these Bolt and Shots really easy to continue to lengthen your combat chain with. So John really gets to make use of basically every card he sort of drew up off that 3 oak.
Yeah, totally. It was a Great draw off the top there for him.
Ancestral and maybe spinning heel kick there, thrown into blocks.
What I love too is that these players basically are at half life, and neither of them have a fully charged tunic.
Yeah, yeah. That's why it's always interesting. Like, you know, is Blossom of Spring even like a better choice? You know, if you just want to make sure you have. That's why we sort of saw the Spellfire Cloak, I think,
Correct,
from
yeah.
Fayu, because he felt it might be a quicker game, having that one resource available when you need it. We will get to Tunic Threshold at least. So we had a Searing Shot come in back off that Codex, and yeah, I mean, the value obviously with the Frailty token is huge. And Jonathan says, well, I guess I'm just going to turtle up for a turn.
Yep. Yeah, not too bad. You don't lose too much life on that. You just lost 5 life, and you're only down 4 life points. So then they only have 1 card in Arsenal there. So
only 1 off the Ponder, of course. Even though he just vomited.
Well, it could have been worse. Could have been a Ponder token and a Heat Seeker trigger or something like that.
That's true.
So not doing too bad. Ooh, double Ardivore in hand in a Sync Blow. Plus an E-Strike, so not going to be blocking too much here.
No. How?
Ooh. And then the Frostbite, right when you have a defense reaction.
And
brutal.
like, look, bookending this turn with an Arctic Incarceration is just dirty.
Yeah, this is brutal.
I mean, your Katsu play, I mean, as soon as you see the Arctic get flipped in Arsenal, you go, oh, okay, like, what does my next 2 turn cycles look like here? Do I have to, I mean, I'm not blocking very well with this hand at all.
No.
Also, I probably will struggle to make use of these Art of Wars when it, when it comes back to me if this incarceration gets thrown down.
Yeah.
Just another access out of nowhere that Lexi can attack you from with this disruption.
Totally, it's pretty brutal. I think Jonathan really should have just used his Tunic resource in response to that Frostbite since he has 2 defense reactions.
Oh, yeah, you feel horrendous now. Oh.
Yeah, pretty tough.
Not to mention that, I mean, the 5 power breakpoint makes these sort of Sync Belows look a little silly.
yeah, it's just a chance to use Sync Below 1 time.
Oh, yeah, paying for that, my friend? Oh, dear, that's right.
Yeah, forgot about that.
Breaking Scales living up to their name in this occasion. Throw that one downtown. Do you want to pitch an Art of Wars? All right, I'm not known for my bedside manner, so I'm going to keep it straight with you, chat. Jonathan is in trouble. He is in trouble.
He is. He's just going to leak some damage over this turn, potentially off whatever the second arrow is, and is also not going to have a turn. So, and the thing is too, when Lexi gets to kind of keep going like this, when they draw off of 3 of a kinds and that sort of thing, it just means they get to the 3 of the kinds and the Rain Razors a lot sooner, drawing those 3 cards. So it can be challenging to be in this little bit of a spiral here.
So this is your Anasara with go again. I mean, John might even have to ask himself the question, how good is Arctic Incarceration anyway? Like, how much of a turn is my opponent going to be able to have now? He's just pitched a card to play defense reaction.
Yep. Oh, excuse me, that was a Ancestral Empowerment, not a second Sync Below.
Gotcha. Not so bad. At least he doesn't have to pay to put that card sideways on the table.
Chris McDonald, the Codex was already in Arsenal. That's how that got in there. And then you instantly deleted your message because you figured it out. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, your homie's got the receipts, though. That's all I'm saying. It's all up here. No, fair call. Yeah, I mean, that was sort of face up for much of that turn. So it informed some of Jonathan's blocking decisions, knowing that he was going to be afflicted by a Frailty token. That's why he just threw his hand in front of it. Very quickly, Katsu gets... I guess just kind of gets bent backwards here. He had 1 turn, really could put some pressure on, kind of doing the thing right now that Katsu is most feared to be doing. But yeah, a 2 block and then a refill your hand with 3 of a kind. Oof, this hero is kind of busted. That's just kind of busted.
I think if you're John here and they block out this Endless Arrow, I think you just keep Arctic Incarceration. Yeah, for your next turn.
I mean, you
just Arsenal that card.
It's just sitting there, right?
Yeah.
It's not your arsenal is not clogged really. You can put whatever you like in there.
The extra time you're allowed in an aggro match where you don't have the worry of going to time really allows you to think a lot more, which is
or memorize flavor text.
Or memorize flavor text as you're sitting there going, should I block with this card?
Yeah.
You know.
That's a rare treat you get as a Dorinthia player as well. As your opponent decides their blocks, you get to look at their graveyard real closely. Which is always nice to have that time.
Now, Interesting that we're just keeping the E-Strike in hand. Unsure what we're going to do with that.
Ugh.
I guess pitch it for a Kadachi.
Yeah, fantastic dagger fodder.
And now you can't do
Okay.
that.
Well, how about you just put your feet up and take a turn off.
Yep.
Arctic Incarceration will inflict no less than three frostbites on Jonathan. Essentially, when your opponent's already shrunk their hand down via blocking that, it just blanks their entire turn. So we'll see Jonathan allow the frostbites to expire and draw back up to 4. And again, tempo squarely sits with the Lexi player. We have a Winter's Biflipped in Arsenal, so further disruption against a deck that doesn't always fight through it well.
Yep, totally. And that's one of the powers of Lexi is that they have, see now he's thinking about getting his tunic here for this potential frostbite, is that they, I mean, he also might play out this Winter's Bite and you might want to use it for that, but that ice is very effective against these aggressive decks here, so.
She does it all, man.
Yeah, totally. Oh, shout out to Reese. What up, Reese? One of my homies at the Attack Action podcast. Great to see you in the chat. And he thinks he kept the card to bait out the Arctic, I think. Well, it worked.
he got incarcerated.
Yeah, totally.
He turned himself in down the local PD. All right, so we're floating that tunic counter this time in response.
Yep.
So it must mean more defense reactions.
I think because of the Winter's Bite, he maybe will then just use
that makes perfect sense.
tunic resource to pay for that.
All right. Or he just play Winter's Bite and just let that chill.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Let it chill.
Yeah,
Aha. There we go. Fab Dad in the house.
Little alley-oop there.
Yeah. Cookagoosh. That was me dunking it. Actually,
gotcha.
You dunked it, but, you know.
You sure you don't have kids?
Nope, just one beautiful dog named Brunhilde. Anyway, back to the game here. Searing Shot coming in for 4 go again, which is really 5 go again here. And Jonathan decides to take that.
What have we got in hand here? So I see Surging and Enlightened Strike that was kept over from the previous cycle.
I think there's a Bonds in there, perhaps.
I think it was at Yellow Surging in Arsenal, right? Is that still there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, look at that. We've seen that before in Lucero.
Welcome back. All right. So another 4 here. We've had breaking scales used to block already. There's always a question about how likely you are to get to a 3rd tunic counter again.
Yep, totally. That's a great point there. I like that. I think the E-Strike is for sure the card you could block with here if you were going to block with a card. Also a pretty, you know, perhaps maybe it's a good card to use as your Katsu fetch. But
I guess that extra Surging maybe might just be
maybe
considered extraneous.
it's a tough spot. Both these players, we believe, are here for their winning in top 8 if things go their way. So a lot riding on this game here.
Yeah.
As we know, success in Flesh and Blood is measured by the number of top 8s you get.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And you get to put it on your Twitter profile.
I'll co-sign, I'll co-sign that. Fine. Again, a loss here in round 8. If you go X and 2, it's not terrible for the old breakers. But again, it really depends where these other losses occurred for these players.
Yeah, exactly. And what's happening elsewhere in the field. Yeah. I would be interested. We do not have standings right now. I mean, this is the last round.
They're round 6 standings only. So
yeah, so we will get the actual standings very soon. Because at the end of this round, it'll be top 8. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, remember, $2,000 of prize money, PTI for the top 2 players, and a gold foil on the line here at our Battle Hardened Los Angeles.
Wonderful. Great pricing.
All right, John is, we have a look down range here. He's just gesturing at someone. There's no judge attending the table right now, because it's really up to Jonathan to figure this out.
Exactly.
Take time. It is an aggro matchup.
He is in the tank here. And it looks like thinking is resolving. Thinking resolves. Thinking on the stack.
Okay.
Resolves.
Oh, there's more where that came from. How about, oh, that punishes you so much for not blocking. Oh, because you don't know. You don't know it's coming. You had the winner's buy, anything that's telegraphed. You floated a resource because the winner's buy, and he hits you with that. Is a mean right hook.
I'll tell you what.
Oh.
4 frostbites is 1 worse than 3 frostbites. That's for sure.
Oh, goodness. So, look, you know, why do I react that way? Well, you know, if Jonathan if that's telegraphed to Jonathan, he might be just priced into blocking much more liberally here. He takes that damage thinking, hey, you know, I can put a turn together. I can actually start threaten to take some tempo back now. That ship is over the horizon at this point. You are not going to have your turn has shrunk significantly here.
Yeah.
How much did that surging cost? 6. Wow. That doesn't seem great.
Yeah. If you notice, too, in the back of the camera for John, we have Haley Neighbors, who did some custom art for the poster for the Battle Hardened LA.
Oh, that's a great one. That's
and is also doing custom little cards.
Artist proofs today. Yeah, there's some commissions.
Proofs, yeah. I went over there and ordered one myself, so hopefully that'll be done at some point, and we'll show it off on camera.
Excellent.
Yeah, very nice person. Oh, look at that. More ice.
Yep.
Winter's Bite.
Rug up, Jonathan.
Jamie PB, ice is the problem. Well, we've heard that before, but haven't heard it lately, so thanks for reminding us that is a tagline.
Yeah, in fairness, like the fuseless Lexi also is pretty disgusting as well in what it can output. It is here very, very punishing for Katsu specifically. But
yeah, totally. Now chat's just going to argue about what cards are most broken.
Let them go.
That'll be fun for them. Have fun, everybody.
We'll set you on your way as we keep an eye over how this all plays out. So yeah, look, Jonathan's turn was non-existent as far as I can tell.
Again, he hasn't attacked in many turns in a row here. He's just being iced out of the game. Another searing shot, taking 5.
Yep. And he's just taking it. I mean, good lord, if this is another incarceration, I'd be punishing. It punishes you for not blocking, right? That's what's so crazy about it. That's why it's so powerful here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Infecting shot now.
Just about as lethal as it gets without getting lethal, you know?
Yep, that's reasonable. Yeah, it represents potential 7 damage. That's not.
It does. It's very
not
good.
8. It's
very
not
good
8
card. I think you definitely got a block here.
Yeah. There's plenty going on. There's that endless arrow sitting in Arsenal now as well. So Jonathan is starting to teeter on the edge.
Yeah, totally. And this is kind of maybe the curse of having to go first here in the aggro matchup, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big part of it, right? I mean, Jonathan had his, probably the best possible turn, but pretty close to ideal.
Yeah.
The draw off of the Mask Momentum wasn't relevant there. He put his full combo line together, that Dishonor line, forced the 2-card block. Just happened to be the turn that John had the perfect answer to that in 3 of a kind to refill. So from there on out, it's a Lexi game.
And that's just sometimes the nature of the game. And what I think one of the interesting things, though, about when 2 aggro decks come together, those little early micro decisions really put the decision tree later to the test.
All Katsu's lacking is a way to give their opponents frailty. I mean, game changer, that one.
Well, we'll see what happens in Dusk to Dawn. Apparently, Katsu is not part of the Avengers, so not featured yet on a Unity card. So we'll see what happens here. With that.
I mean, you can't blame Jonathan for really taking his time here because he has to try and map out a pathway to, not victory, I mean, that's a stretch goal, I think, at this point. More a way to start to force his opponent to give up cards. And when you're at, just take it. Yeah, here's that endless. I mean, we knew this would be coming down the chute. Full block here. Looks like it was a Bonds of Ancestry plus the Tunic. Okay, so we take the Endless Arrow out of the equation. We're at 3 life, 3 cards in hand, but a Blood Rot Pox token looms large.
And I don't know how with 3 cards Jonathan is going to do 27 damage.
No. Only the 2 cards in hand as well, so sink this, hope to draw a blue? Yep. It doesn't find up. Sorry,
have been-
doesn't. No,
Might have been a red surging there. Ooh.
Oh, not great. So 5 draw here on this Enlightened Strike. John will
And
try not to smirk at that.
take 2, go to 1.
All right, bada bing. You have been infected. Now, with Lexi, ticks up the tuning counter card on Arsenal, of course. And an absolutely voracious game plan they've been enacting. Bolton shot getting flipped up. For John, it's essentially deterministic from this point.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. Sink below, though, could help. You could get rid of that surging strike and hopefully draw into another 3 block here. But hamstring shot has a hit effect, but at this point, the hit effect is you die and lose the game. So, got to block it.
Yeah, a little awkward if you're high on 2 blocks. That would be.
I mean, I guess 2 blocks are fine, right? But you also can't play around the, because it's 2 cards regardless.
I mean, yeah,
so
yeah.
It's straight.
Oh,
up.
you have a CNC in hand, so if you had a handful of 2 blocks, you've not.
Yeah, you're
dead. You're
doing terrible. But can't really play around rain razors, unfortunately.
I mean, we've even seen, not that I think it's in this matchup, but a side note, we've even seen like lightning press emerge as the new tech in the Lexi mirror. That's been interesting to see that play out. What a throwback.
Exactly, yeah. Part of the what flavor is it quiz earlier.
Oh, really?
Was the flavor text on lightning press.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh, boom,
Oh,
there
it
is.
got him with the rain razors in the end. There is a sink
Sink
below.
below.
All right. We are.
Oh, get blown out, John.
We are alive and kicking.
But oh crap, he's got another arrow.
That's yeah. And guess what? Yeah, it's buffed. So
Let's go again.
go again. Here, you can have these cards. There's one floating, 1 arrow here. Can John? Yep. Magic something into his arsenal. He can, and it will be enough to get the job done.
GG's.
That'll be it. Well played, John Abanto. Getting into top 8 surely with a victory there, moving to 7 and 1. A very Lexi-heavy top 8, I've got to be honest. Jonathan, of course, suffering a loss here, definitely putting his chances in question. Nice to see Katsu make it as far as he had again. Just give the guy a way to make some frailty. You know what I mean? That's all he needs. He's right there.
Totally. Well, the storyline I am looking forward to in top 8 is I hope a friend of mine, Tao Tao, makes it to the top 8. He made it in the last battle, Hardened, last year, and had a little bit of a slip up in the semis. And
It's a Viserai, right? It was a very
against
volatile game, that one.
Nick Schneider, that was a crazy game. And, he kind of beat himself up all weekend about that slight misplay. So hopefully he gets some revenge here and makes it to the finals. That's the storyline I'm looking forward to seeing come to fruition.
There you have it. Yeah, so we're getting excited, of course, for our top 8. We'll, of course, bring you that information as soon as we can. But before we do that, let's talk about the people that are helping us make this happen. That's right, the Arcane Games and Events Open Series. And, of course, everything we're doing here today is brought to you by Collector, Legion, our friends down at Redondo Beach, and fabrec.gg, the place to go for all of your deck building insights for Flesh and Blood. If you want to understand how the top decks are being put together, how your hero of choice is being comprised in terms of card selection and card pull, that is where you want to be. Again, if you're a Magic player, you might have come across EDH Trick. I use that very extensively in my sort of time building those decks, especially because how big the card pulls are. Fabrec is your go-to for all that and more in Flesh and Blood. I'm a little bit excited about this Kano storyline because I think we have a couple hovering. Talking to Margin Bay, he's 6 and 1, right? So definitely, with a winning in, potential there. We've already seen the Lexi Kano matchup. It's tough. It's really skill intensive, and it can get away from you really quickly if you're the Kano there. But Lexi's the big bad here at the Battle of Hardened Los Angeles, I suspect, heading into that top 8. But like someone like Tao Tao, is probably going to have some contingencies prepared for that kind of matchup. So
yeah, I think so. We'll also see if Boy Wonder Brody Spurlock makes top 8.
He's locked, I think. Yeah,
You think
I
so?
overheard him saying that he thinks he's locked with his record. Margin 7 and 1, so he's in there. We have a Kano.
Okay, great.
Of course,
So.
Team Kayfabe cards having a representative in that top cut there. So I mean, we have quite a few names like Matthew Vore as well.
Yeah.
Obviously a great player out of Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we got some pretty impressive names on this list. Anthony Pham, I think he took his first loss at 6 and 0. So he's in a good spot.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
also on Lexi as well. So we will get those. I know, yeah, IB Cloaked, I see you in the chat. We'll get you those standings as soon as possible. Again, we can very quickly show you our meta breakdown. This is how it looked coming into the day. So very Lexi heavy meta. Less Dromai than I expected, honestly. Only eight decks being represented there. And again, Uzuri, quite a number of those decks. Obviously, a hero we were talking before that you've been taking out for a spin lately yourself.
Yep, it's a great hero. Really has a great matchup into Lexi, but the Oldhim matchup and the Dromai matchup is a little tough. So we'll see what happens.
All right.